Thor Love and Thunder. I saw the movie, so I can say this. The title, Love and Thunder, doesn't exactly mean what we think it means. It was a good twist with that part of it. This is not the best Thor movie. There's been 4 of them. This one is not the best, but I would say it's probably number 2. No, it's definitely the second best. Ragnarok was better. This one was good. I was actually, for some reason, expecting this to be better than Ragnarok. It was not. I dug Ragnarok. It's like a Thor classic. Now, he's had 4. And let me tell you, there's going to be a 5th. The story moved quick. It was like a 2-hour-long movie, but it moved right into the action, and it felt like it was 45 minutes. You know, it moved really smoothly. But I think it could have been even smoother because there was a lot of stuff in there that didn't need to be in there. The Guardians of the Galaxy were in there for a short time, like 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, 20 minutes. But they could have been in there for like 8, 10 minutes. You know, they didn't need to be in there that long. They did not add a lot to the story. I think I only heard Drax speak like twice, and both of them were kind of in passing. He didn't really talk that much. It's Drax. You know, Dave Bautista, he's great in that character, but he didn't talk much. They didn't need the Guardians. I thought this was going to be an introduction to the Thor core also, and it was not. Well, kind of. In the comics, he gets hurt by Hela. She crushes all of the bones in his body. For some reason, he can still stand. Well, she didn't crush them. She broke all the bones, so they were broken. So it hurt every time he moved. So to help him with that, he wore this special armor. He's got that armor in the movie. They don't explain it to be his special bone crushing armor, but he's wearing it in the movie. In the comics, there's a guy named Eric Masterson that gets the hammer, and he becomes Thor for a while, and he wears a jacket with the red vest and everything. That outfit shows up. He has different Thor outfits throughout the movie, but not different Thor. So it was kind of a different Thor core kind of a thing, but it was just him in different outfits, really. And he didn't explain it, really. He just kept changing his clothes. He's Thor, man. He does what he wanted to do, you know. So in this episode, in this movie, I don't want to give too much away because it's still early. Not a lot of people have seen it. But in this movie, he is looking for something to do with his life, really. And he comes across the God Butcher, Gorr. And he's like, all right, I guess I'm going to do that. And then he finds out how big Gorr is, as in like his plan will wipe out all the gods. And since he's one of the gods, he figures he's going to jump in and take care of it. They change a lot of things in here. Tooth Grinder and Tooth Gnasher, the giant man-eating rams that pull his vessel through the cosmos. They're not his pets, you know. They're like a gift. They were given to him. The story with Jane and her cancer, it's changed a little bit. A lot of the stuff has changed, and Thor has to save someone in the movie, And it becomes, in my opinion, like a kiddie movie because there's a lot of kids and there's a lot of kid jokes, and he's talking to kids and kids are talking to him and they're like, go away, Thor. And I'm like, that's not cool. It didn't seem, the first Thor was really serious, and it might have been too serious. The second Thor was like a sci-fi superhero movie. I think that the second one was the worst of the four. The third one was incredible. It looked like they were trying to capture that energy of the third movie, but they missed it by a little bit. And if you've ever tried to step on a curve and you missed it by a little bit, it hurts. If you ever tried to get in your bed and you didn't want to kick the edge of the bed where the metal is, but you kicked it because you missed by a little bit, it hurts when you miss by a little bit. In fact, there used to be a TV show, Get Smart, and he always used to say, missed it by that much. That's the situation. They were aiming, I think, at Ragnarok, and they missed it by that much. That's all it takes, just a little bit. And they missed it by a little bit. I could see the similarities for what they were trying to do, but they missed it. There were a ton of gods in this. There are more people in this movie than probably the last 3 Thor movies together. At least the 2 of the Thor movies. There's more people in this movie than at least 2 of them. And most of them were the gods. And they didn't take time to flesh them out. They didn't have a lot of time really to do that because there was just so many of them. But they didn't. They had an opportunity with all of these gods to open up, maybe Khonshu, maybe Bast, maybe all of these different people who are getting their powers from the gods or are gods themselves. They had an opportunity to dive in there. Namor, they didn't do any of that. They just like panned through the audience and showed a bunch of them. Bast was in the audience, but only thing she did was kind of look at the camera and look away, just instantly, just if blink and you miss it kind of a thing. And I'm thinking, oh man, wow, that sucked. That was a big opportunity there. But Zeus is in the movie, and if you're thinking there's one particular reason why they use Zeus, you're right. I'm not going to say what it is. But if you're a comic book guy, then you already know. If you're just taking a guess, you probably know why Zeus is in the movie. It's an introduction of another character. And the movie was good. There was a good fight, a couple of good fights. It just wasn't. It felt thrown together. It was like someone said, you know what, we've got a great formula. People love Thor. We're making a 4th movie. We're gonna do this, that, and the other, and people love it because it's Thor. I was expecting for Christian Bale to be the breakout character. And I thought he was going to be the best character. He was going to be even better than Thor. And I was like, they're going to kill him, and I'm going to feel sad about it because he's going to be so good. I know he's going to be so good. He was probably the worst character, really. It was like he left Batman to come over here and do this movie with Marvel, but he kind of brought the Joker with him. He kind of talked like the Joker. Giggling and wheezing, and I was like, it sounds like he's doing a Joker impersonation. His voice kept changing. Sometimes he was scary, sometimes he was like, and I was like, oh, he couldn't find that character. Somebody should have sat him down and explained that character a little bit more or whatever, because he was bouncing all over. A couple of times he was good. A couple of times. There's a time when people are and from behind them, they're talking, and from behind him, he just slowly starts to appear, and then he enters the conversation, and he's talking to them, and it was spooky, because you didn't see him, and then slowly he's coming, he starts to materialize from behind him, and he's behind this person, and he just starts talking. And I was like, that's spooky. That was kind of good. They need a little bit more of that. He wants something. And the first time he engages the heroes, that thing that he wants is right there. But instead of taking it, he's like, I'm gonna set up a trap and get you guys later so that we can have a fully fleshed out movie instead of me just showing up and taking the thing I want. He was like right there. It was right there, and he didn't take it. He just left, set up this elaborate trap, like old Adam West. You know, instead of them catching Batman and just shooting him, they catch Batman and they put him in a giant, slingshot that's gonna, if they can't figure out a riddle, it's gonna shoot him through the air in 20 minutes. I'm like, why would you do that? Why would you build that thing to kill Batman when you could stab him, shoot him, choke him, drown him, beat him in the head, throw him off the building? You got him. You got him. That's what this was. He had the thing he wanted, but he was like, nah, I'm going to go through this elaborate trap to get the thing that I could take right now, but I'm not going to because it'd be too easy. I'm thinking, what are you doing, man? I see where they were going with him too. Some of the best villains of all time and across all genres, but particularly because we're talking about it in the comic book genre, are villains that believe that they're right. They believe that their cause is a just one. It's hard to beat someone who is motivated. And like Killmonger, Thanos, they thought they were right. And they kind of were. They try to give that type of mentality to Gorr. He thinks what he's doing is right and just, but of course it's not. I mean, he's a murderer. He's just a murderer. So they try to give him that persona as if to say he thinks he's right, but it didn't really come across that way. He came across as like just reaching for straws and trying to find a reason to kill a bunch of people. It was a 2-hour-long movie, but it didn't seem like they had enough time to build his character, even though they specifically break up a piece of the movie where they talk about nothing but him. It's him doing his thing. They show you why he's evil, how he got this weapon, the whole 9 yards. They call his weapon a Necro sword, which is a sword. All of the planets, all of the mythologies, all of the races rather, have their own mythology, their own gods. The symbiote, where Venom comes from, has its own god too, and its god uses the Necrosword. That's its great weapon, the god killer, and he gets a hold of that. And I figured that they were going to use that to introduce Spawn and the symbiotes, but not. They changed it completely. They still call it the Necrosword, but they changed it. They changed it, and the change wasn't a super bad thing, but the way that they changed it made it a lot different. They introduced one extraordinarily big, extraordinarily powerful character in this movie, and it didn't play out the way I thought it would. It was a big character, but it would be like if they introduced the Riddler in a Batman movie, but he didn't tell any jokes. There were no riddles. You'd be like, he's kind of missing the main thing. That was what happened here. And again, it just felt like it wasn't fleshed out enough. There are 2 Easter eggs at the end, 2 of them, and stay for both of them because both of them are important to the MCU future. One of them, most people kind of expected. Surprise guest, he shows up. So most people were expecting one of these Easter eggs. post-credit scenes. So the other one was just a pleasant surprise. It was like, oh wow, look what they did. They did that thing. That was kind of cool. It wasn't a bad movie. It just wasn't the movie I was expecting. It threw me off, not in a bad way, just a way that made me go, okay, all right, well, I was expecting this, I got that. I guess I'll just take that. So it was okay. It wasn't a bad movie. It was a good movie. In a couple of days, I'll probably do a spoiler because there's a lot I want to talk about, and I don't want to talk about it now because the movie just came out. Actually, technically, it comes out tomorrow. So, we'll see. But I would give Thor Love and Thunder, without spoilers, 7 bags of popcorn. 7 bags of popcorn. Not bad, just not great. 7's okay, but if it's a Marvel movie, you expect a particular level of competence and stuff. And I didn't get all that stuff. So I'm giving it a 7. Compared to other movies, it was pretty good. Compared to other Marvel movies, it's okay. 7 bags of popcorn. Because that's what I think about that. More importantly, what do you think about that? Now that you've seen the video, let's talk about it in the comments. And as always, if you like the video, if you like the content, subscribe. And then like.
Popcorn passport. Get your popcorn passport.